Hello and welcome to another episode of the WaltInPA YouTube channel. My name is Walt, and we are rolling through Berks County right now on this gloomy Sunday morning. So it's, I don't know, late September, 20-something or other. And, well, fall is beginning to set in. As you can see, the ground's kind of wet. We had some rain come through yesterday. And in addition to the ground being a little damp, got some leaves to contend with. It's really not a big deal right now. There aren't tons of them. But it is definitely going to be something to be keeping an eye out for pretty soon. Start seeing a lot more of them in the roadway. So on this very gloomy Sunday morning, I'm on my way out to do a destination ride video, and I have a little bit of time to kill, so I thought I would do one of the things that I enjoy doing, and that is talking about other people's content. So I thought I would do a bit of a video response to a video that the Moto Jawn published, I guess this week, or either late last week or early this week. I'm not entirely sure. But it was a pretty memorable video because he talked about avoiding mistakes and kind of shining a light on some of the issues that he has found in his own riding. He's basically talking about bad habits. And at the end of the video, he poses the question, do you have any bad habits that you need to break? So in his video, he's talking about getting caught up in the scenery and looking at buildings and looking at houses and things like that. He's also talking about taking his hand off the handlebars, leaving the bike, putting the bike in neutral when he comes to a stoplight, taking his hands off the bars to relax, that sort of thing, again at a stoplight. So he's going over some of the bad habits that he's found himself doing, and he asks, have we discovered ourselves doing any? So I have one that I think is really bad. I do it all the time. I don't even think about it, and I really need to fix it. The other one, probably not so bad, but it may cause a problem sooner rather than later. So we'll start with the second one, and that is rear brake. I have a habit of putting probably too much pressure on the rear brake pedal. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm doing it backwards. I think that I have more pressure on the rear brake than I have on the front brake in many stopping situations. Now, just kind of riding along, I don't foresee that being a massive problem, but in a situation where I have to stop quickly, it very well could turn into one pretty fast. Whoa! Like right there when the rear brake locked up. But going over a metal grate bridge and it's wet, so kind of expected. But that is pretty much exactly what I'm worried about. Going into a stop situation where I have to stop a little bit faster than anticipated, and I wind up in a situation where I lock up the rear wheel. I have done it once in practice. I haven't done it on the road, thankfully, but it is something that I've been trying to be aware of anytime I stop, and try to apply more front brake than rear brake. And I'm making progress, but I think what I really need to do is get out into a parking lot and do a couple dozen repetitions of panic stops, so that I can begin to build that muscle memory that is more likely to stick around when I'm not thinking about it. So can't rely on always being able to think everything through. There's going to be situations where you kind of say, oh shit, and you do what you've practiced. You don't think through it, you just do it. So I really need to get that repetition in to generate that muscle memory, so that I'm putting less pressure on the rear brake and relying more on the front brake. So So the second issue I have is a much more serious one, and that is my lack of brakes. So this this bike has brakes. They work really well. However, this bike also does a tremendous job with engine braking. So it doesn't take nearly as much stopping power on the brakes than you would expect, or at least than I would expect, coming from being away from motorcycles for a decade. So when I'm in a situation where I'm preparing to turn, a lot of the time I will roll off the throttle and let the engine braking do the heavy lifting for me. So I'll roll off the throttle. For instance, if I was going to turn, I don't know, let's pick somewhere. Let's say I want to turn at that yellow sign. I roll off the throttle here. And really, I don't need to touch the brakes until here. You know, like, I only need the brakes to slow me down at that very last spot. And the problem here is that my brake lights don't go on when I roll off the throttle. So if I have someone behind me that's not really paying attention or isn't focused on whether or not I'm speeding up or slowing down, there's a very good chance they could rear end me. And it's kind of scary. I've been in a couple of situations where the people behind me have gotten way too close. You know, not in danger of hitting me close, but like alarm bells were going off in my head, like totally uncomfortable with how close they were. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that a lot of time I rely on engine braking and I'm not signaling that I'm slowing down. Now, should the person behind me recognize that I'm slowing down without seeing the brake lights? Well, yeah, in a perfect world, they should. Could I blame them for not noticing that I'm slowing down? Well, no, not really. I couldn't do that either because, well, motorcycles slow down a hell of a lot faster than cars do. So not only is the bike slowing down faster than their car, I'm also not signaling. So it becomes a weird situation where, yeah, they should have been paying attention, but I'm certainly not helping the situation if there were an incident. So those are two very bad habits that I have. The second, I think, you know, the engine braking, I think, is the more severe of the issues. Something I definitely need to work on. And I'm sure I have others that I'm not even aware of. I know that as I've been riding more and more and getting more comfortable, I do have a tendency to take my hand off the bars, talk with my hand sometimes. And, you know, I'm sure there are others. But that's just a kind of a conversation starter. So, talked about some of the bad habits that I have in response to the Moto Jawn's video. So I'm going to pose the same question to you that Moto Jawn posed to us, or to me, to us. That video wasn't just for me. And that is, do you have any bad habits that you're aware of? And has motovlogging, if you're a motovlogger, has seeing yourself on video made you more aware of those issues? I mean, 'cause obviously the braking thing, I'm not going to see that from a point of view camera, but I do see myself doing this, you know, hands off the bars. So has motovlogging helped you catch some of your bad habits? So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Ride safe, and I will catch you in the next one.